If you've spent any time on a playground or watching cartoons, you've absorbed a specific set of biological facts. You know that bats are blind, that wolves fight for alpha status, that bulls charge at red, and camels store water in humps. But every single one of those statements is false. They have absolutely no basis in biological reality. We live in an era of mapping genomes and sending rovers to Mars, yet our collective understanding of the animal kingdom remains largely built on childhood rumors, mistranslated ancient texts, and Hollywood fictions. These myths survive because human beings are incredibly prone to accepting a compelling hunch over the rigorous, tested evidence required by actual science. The most efficient machine for manufacturing biological myths is the entertainment industry. Take the lemming. Thanks to a widely circulated story, there is a global expectation that these small rodents routinely commit mass suicide by throwing themselves off cliffs when they migrate. This phenomenon was entirely manufactured. For the 1958 Disney documentary White Wilderness, filmmakers bought lemmings from local children, transported them to a cliffside in Canada, and physically pushed them off the edge to stage a dramatic narrative. Hollywood also standardized how we expect animals to sound. Ask anyone what a frog says, and they will tell you it makes a ribbit noise. Out of thousands of species, only a tiny handful, like the Pacific tree frog, actually make that specific sound. Early Foley artists simply recorded the frogs living outside their Southern California studios, inadvertently establishing a regional mating call as a global biological fact. When media makers prioritize a compelling story over biological accuracy, the fictional narrative easily overwrites the truth in the public consciousness. Another major source of our misunderstanding comes from early scientists misinterpreting animals, creating errors that spread far faster than their eventual corrections. The concept of the alpha wolf tearing its way to the top of the pack hierarchy originated from an early behavioral study, but that researcher was observing unrelated, highly stressed adult wolves that had been artificially trapped together in captivity. In the wild, a wolf pack operates as a cooperative family unit. The supposed alphas are simply the parents of the younger wolves, guiding their offspring rather than ruling them through aggression. A similar observational error cursed the legacy of the dodo, a bird widely remembered as exceptionally stupid and hunted to extinction because its meat was uniquely delicious. The bird actually belonged to the pigeon family and was merely naive, having evolved on an isolated island in Mauritius without significant predators. As for its culinary value, historical accounts from Dutch sailors noted its meat was actually quite repulsive. When observers ignore the evolutionary context of an animal, like isolating them in unnatural habitats or misunderstanding their island evolution, they generate enduring caricatures instead of capturing reality. The final wellspring of bad biology comes from ancient anecdotes based simply on looking at an animal without systematically testing its behavior. It is common knowledge that ostriches bury their heads in the sand to hide from enemies. This claim traces back nearly 2,000 years to the Roman author Pliny the Elder, who wrote that ostriches believe their whole body is concealed when their head is hidden. Applying the basic logic of natural selection collapses this idea immediately. Blinding yourself to an approaching predator is an evolutionary death sentence, an action that would eliminate the species entirely. Likewise, bulls are not enraged by the color red. Cattle are dichromats, meaning they are largely colorblind to red hues. A bull charges the matador's cape because the sweeping motion and physical scale of the fabric present a perceived threat, not because of its dye. Human intuition and casual ancient anecdotes prove repeatedly to be deeply unreliable tools for decoding the brutal, practical mechanisms of biology. In science, a theory is not a guess. Just like the theory of gravity explains why you fall when you jump, the theory of evolution provides a framework that has survived rigorous empirical validation. Applying this empirical lens allows us to replace playground myths with actual adaptations. Chameleons, for example, do not change their skin to camouflage into any background. They shift colors for complex social signaling, to reflect their mood and to regulate their body heat. A camel's hump is not a water tank. It is a concentrated mound of fatty tissue. This evolutionary adaptation allows the animal to survive grueling caloric deficits while navigating harsh, nutrient-scarce environments. And bats are certainly not blind. Every bat species possesses functional eyes, and many species, like fruit bats, which do not echolocate, have developed excellent night vision to navigate in the dark. True scientific observation reveals an animal kingdom that is vastly more cooperative, practical, and complex than any caricature we could invent. The next time you hear a fun fact about nature, skip the hunch and demand the evidence.